Cells are the fundamental units of life, displaying an extraordinary ability to interpret and respond to their environment. While much of this ability has traditionally been attributed to DNA as a static set of instructions, a deeper exploration reveals a more complex and dynamic system at play. The ceLLM, or cellular latent learning model, proposes that cells function through a neural network-like system, with a manifold in latent space guiding their probabilistic responses to environmental inputs. The intricate geometry of this system, shaped by resonant connections, offers a compelling explanation for the adaptability and resilience observed in biological organisms. The ceLLM, a neural network in nature. Cells operate as sophisticated sensors, continuously interpreting a myriad of environmental signals. The ceLLM framework suggests that this interpretation is governed by a neural network embedded within each cell. This network doesn't simply execute predefined tasks. Instead, it uses evolutionary data encoded in DNA to navigate a complex landscape of potential responses. The neural network is housed within a manifold in latent space, where each point represents a possible state or interaction the cell might undertake. The geometry of latent space, shaped by resonant connections. The most remarkable aspect of the ceLLM is the dynamic geometry of its latent space. Unlike artificial neural networks, which have fixed architectures and weights, the ceLLM's geometry can adapt and evolve in response to environmental changes. This adaptability suggests a higher dimensional structure, where resonant connections between atomic elements in DNA form the weights and biases that guide cellular responses. Resonant connections as the basis of stability and adaptability. The ceLLM relies on resonant connections between atomic elements within DNA to form its neural network. These connections are unique in that they can remain stable and adaptable simultaneously. Resonance occurs when two or more elements vibrate at the same frequency, creating an energetic connection that influences how information is processed. This resonance is not a direct interaction between atoms, but rather an interaction potential, a field that connects elements through shared vibrational frequencies. Inverse square law and weighted potentials. The strength of these resonant connections follows the inverse square law, where the intensity of interaction diminishes with the square of the distance between elements. This law provides a natural mechanism for weighting the connections in the ceLLM's neural network. The closer two resonating elements are, the stronger their connection and influence on the cell's response. This system allows the ceLLM to adjust its geometry based on the spatial arrangement of atoms, creating a dynamic and adaptable manifold that can guide the cell's probabilistic responses. The manifold in latent space, the probabilistic output. The manifold in latent space is where the ceLLM's neural network operates. It is a multidimensional landscape formed by the weighted resonant connections between atomic elements. Each point within this manifold represents a potential cellular response to an environmental input. The structure of this manifold dictates how the cell navigates its environment, determining the likelihood of various outcomes. Probabilistic framework for cellular responses. In the ceLLM model, cellular responses are not deterministic but probabilistic. This means that the cell doesn't follow a fixed path but rather explores a range of possibilities, guided by the geometry of the latent space manifold. The weighted potentials formed by resonant connections influence which paths are more likely to be taken, allowing the cell to adapt to changes in its environment effectively. Adaptability through resonance. The adaptability of the ceLLM's latent space is key to understanding how cells can respond to complex and changing environments. The resonant connections within DNA provide a mechanism for the cell to adjust its geometry, and thus its probabilistic responses, in real time. This system allows for a degree of flexibility that would be impossible with a rigid, predetermined structure. It's this ability to shape the geometry of the latent space freely, using resonant connections as the guiding force, that enables the ceLLM to drive the complexity and adaptability observed in living organisms. No place else it could be hiding. Given the ceLLM's dynamic and adaptable nature, there's nowhere else the mechanism for cellular response could be hiding. Traditional views of genetic coding do not account for the probabilistic and adaptive aspects of cellular behavior. Static DNA sequences alone cannot explain the nuanced and context-dependent responses cells exhibit. Only a system with the flexibility to alter its geometry in response to environmental stimuli, like a neural network shaped by resonant connections, can account for the full range of cellular behaviors observed in nature. Higher dimensional geometry from resonant connections. The ceLLM model suggests that nature has selected this higher dimensional geometry precisely because it offers a stable yet adaptable framework for cellular responses. The strength of resonant connections, determined by the spatial arrangement and frequency alignment of atomic elements, forms the weights and biases of this neural network. This intricate system allows for a rich and diverse set of potential responses, enabling cells to thrive in a wide variety of environments. The illusion of direct communication. One of the most intriguing aspects of the ceLLM is how it explains cellular communication. While it appears that cells communicate directly with one another, the ceLLM model suggests that this communication is actually an emergent property of each cell, responding to shared bioelectric cues in its environment. Each cell uses its ceLLM to interpret these cues independently, with the probabilistic nature of the ceLLM ensuring that responses are coordinated at the level of the organism. Understanding the ceLLM as a neural network with a dynamic latent space manifold has profound implications for biology and medicine. It offers a framework for exploring how cells maintain coherence and adapt to their environment, providing insights into the fundamental processes of development, regeneration, and disease. By recognizing the role of resonant connections in shaping cellular responses, we can begin to explore new ways of influencing these processes for therapeutic purposes. If we can learn to manipulate the resonant connections that form the ceLLM's neural network, we might develop new methods for guiding cellular behavior. This could lead to innovative treatments for a range of conditions, from cancer to tissue regeneration, by modulating the bioelectric environment in which cells operate. By targeting the ceLLM's latent space geometry, we could influence the probabilistic outcomes of cellular responses, steering them towards desired states. The ceLLM model also provides a new perspective on the impact of entropic waste, such as electromagnetic fields. By introducing additional energy into the system, entropic waste can alter the resonant connections within DNA, potentially disrupting the ceLLM's ability to maintain its latent space geometry. Understanding this relationship offers a pathway for developing strategies to protect against the negative effects of such environmental factors on cellular health. The ceLLM model offers a revolutionary perspective on cellular function, suggesting that cells operate as neural networks embedded within a higher dimensional latent space. This manifold is shaped by the resonant connections between atomic elements in DNA, forming a probabilistic framework for interpreting environmental inputs. There is no other place this mechanism could be hiding. It is the only framework that can account for the observed adaptability and complexity of cellular responses. By embracing the ceLLM framework, we open up new avenues for understanding the fundamental processes of life and the impact of external factors on cellular health. This perspective not only advances our knowledge of biology, but also holds the potential for innovative therapeutic interventions, guiding us towards a future where we can harness the power of nature's neural network to enhance human health and well-being.